I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
That was President Donald Trump announcing his decision to give official diplomatic recognition to Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Though certainly not a new idea, the move was immediately controversial. How will it affect the peace process in the region? Here with analysis, I'm joined by Middle East expert and former foreign policy advisor to President Trump, Dr. Walid Phares. Thank you for being here, Walid.
Thank you.
Now, this has been on the books, and we should say this up front. Since 1995,
That's right.
The United States has had on the book the intention to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Why is this so contested now that Trump is doing it? Three presidents have promised to do it, or four.
It has been a consensus, as you just said, since 1995 in Congress. Both parties, even the independent, all candidates and most presidents have pushed for that. What's happening now is that there is a process. There is a series of coalitions forming in the Middle East. There is Iran. The administration, President Trump, thought that he will start changing the process on the ground. But my concern is we have to go and do other chapters. This is the first chapter. We're moving the embassy. We put it in Jerusalem. Okay. But now what's the fate of Jerusalem? What's the fate of the Palestinian capital? How the Christians going to have access? What's the relationship with the Vatican and everything else? That has to be done now also.
Well, the Pope this week came out and said, wait a minute, I have great problems with this. We have always shared the ideal of a two-state solution where it would be a shared capital, Jerusalem, because it's so important to the three major religions. And they are worried about the egress, getting to the holy sites, all of that. I want to play something for you. This is New York Times columnist Tom Friedman, and he's talking about, or reacting rather, to Trump's decision. Listen to this. I want your reaction.
We had a chance here to actually trade something, to come to Netanyahu and say, look, you want recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital from the United States, and here's the deal, Bibi. I will give you that recognition, but in return, I want you to announce that you will freeze all settlement building in the West Bank. We would have actually used this question of Jerusalem in service of the peace process. Instead of doing that, Trump just gave it away for free.
How is this going to facilitate peace? By giving away the thing that Israel has so sought after. They got what they want already. Why come to the peace table now?
That's right. Well, we could do other stuff. For example, we could now approach the Palestinians and tell them, look, we're going to build an extension to Jerusalem. I mean, Jerusalem 2,000 years ago was not that large. And 1,000 years ago during the Crusade, it wasn't also that large. So what we can do with the Palestinians, and it has been discussed, including with the Arabs, is that there is an area, a suburb of Jerusalem called Abu Dis. So we will build a new capital. Look, the Egyptians out of Cairo are moving and creating an administrative capital 100 kilometers away. The Brazilians out of Sao Paulo moved to Brasilia. So the idea of actually moving and adjusting the capital is possible, but what we need to do is give access to all religions, to everybody, to the holy sites. That is something that has to be done, and quickly, so that the deal is really full.
So why did the president do this now? He claims he wants to shake things up, but he still supports a two-state solution.
Yes.
But by saying we affirm that Israel's capital is here in Jerusalem, you really are already taken one of the major contested points off the table. Does this facilitate peace?
Look, there is a perception that if the president and his administration would have announced everything as a package in one shot, like this is for Israel, this is for the Palestinians, bring in the Arab coalition, and then go to the Security Council and issue it with the support of Europe and the Vatican, that could have been probably an option.
Why didn't he do that?
I think he has been advised that some components are not going to move at this point in time. So what he tried to do is to push one component and compel everybody else to come, compel the Palestinians to choose, yes, let's have a capital. You know, talk with the Vatican after telling the Vatican, look, it's going to work. And the holy sites will be with you to be decided on. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a thorny path forward. And look, Europe is reacting in not positive ways. Theresa May in Britain has condemned this. Angela Merkel has condemned it. You have the Saudi Arabians, who the president seemed to be uniting the Arab world. Jordan, they're all opposed to this. What are they missing?
That's why, Raymond, I think that if this is the only decision made, it's going to be difficult. But if that decision is the beginning of a process that would include talking with the Saudis, because we also read reports that the Saudis in general will say no, in reality will gather the Arabs, that the Vatican eventually will negotiate the holy sites, that the Europeans are waiting because they have interests elsewhere. All of that is true. Time will let us know if this is a partial move or this is the beginning of a comprehensive move. I don't know.
Jared Kushner has been working on a peace plan for a while now, the president's son-in-law. He made a speech this past week where he gave very few details up. I was thinking as I watched this announcement come forward that this might be a provocative act to shake everybody from their comfort zones and to change the conversation. But what would that conversation look like now with this big contested point off the table?
If this is a shock, as you're describing it, so that something will happen, if you have not prepared for that something, if you have not already spoken with your partners for that something, maybe nothing else will happen. So I am hopeful that this first part will be the beginning of a process already planned, already addressed. And my concern now is that time is going to tell us, but we don't have much time.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, the Middle East is a powder keg, let's face it.
Yeah.
A part of me also thinks, using Tom Friedman's logic, that the president will then go to Bibi Netanyahu and say, okay, I'm with you, you got your capital, we're moving on, now you're going to have to help me out here.
I think this is the logical step. I think most observers in the Middle East and also here who understand the Middle East think that Mr. Netanyahu got everything he wanted. Every prime minister of Israel would have wanted over the past many decades. So now it will be probably more easy for them, easier.
There's more political capital to burn off.
Yes, to give up. But that's why I am posing the question, was there a comprehensive plan and this is the first chip? And then we're going to see more? The next weeks, the next months are going to tell us.
But that's an interesting, and it's the first time I've heard it, interesting idea of building out East Jerusalem and creating a permanent capital for the other state, the Palestinian state there. But how feasible is that, given the realities on the ground in Jerusalem?
Remember, our president is an expert in real estate, strategic real estate. So building new cities, and not just him. I mean, look, the Saudis and the UAE and others in the Egyptians are talking about rebuilding Palestine. So let us monitor if the Arabs are going to be talking with the Palestinians and tell them, look, together with the Americans, we could get to that position where you're going to have a new capital plus a piece of Jerusalem if you're satisfied with that.
So you envision Trump, Israel, Trump, Palestine, two hotels facing each other.
I don't want to go there.
Across the wall. In time. Walid Phares, thank you as always for being here and for your insight.